And that has caught on, not just in our times, but even centuries ago. And it's false. After all, remember I just mentioned that Cyrus the Great let go the Jews from Babylon and helped them rebuild their temple? Yeah, I said Jews, not Israelites. The Jews make up only 2 tribes. This is another piece that's left out. Now, we can link up to a podcast we did not too long ago with Caleb, right? The British Israelite deception, which explains this in greater detail than we can do now. Yeah, 2 tribes were in Babylon. Not all the Israelites. They were released 2 centuries before, in the 8th century, right? When they were captured by the Assyrians. And after being released from the Assyrians, they scattered to the 4 winds. And they're called the lost tribes of Israel. So the Jew hater doesn't know any of this, has no idea demographically what you're talking about when he's going after just measly 2 tribes. And telling you that the world conspiracy is run by 2 tribes? The preposterousness of all of this. But getting back to that point, when, after the Jewish revolt, and even before it, where are these messiahs coming from? These are highly educated Kabbalists and Neoplatonists, right? And Gnostics from Alexandria, from all sorts of places. And when they do a stopover in Judea, in Jerusalem, their reputations have gone in front of them. And so the Jews do accept them. And this then, and the squabbles are perfectly fine. It's not that they just accept them, they argue with them. The Jewish people are one of the first people to go toe-to-toe and argue with one another in order to thrash out. They're an oral tradition. They're interested in ideas and beliefs. That's why they're 10 times smarter than you and any other Gentile around. If they own the world, this is the real conspiracy. This is the real reasons, because they're fucking smart. Because they started off on the right fucking foot. We've gone into all of this. Right? And debate was absolutely beloved. But not just debate amongst their own kind. So this Parthian connection, we could stop and do, but all I can do is, suggest that people read Ralph Ellis's work. He's the expert on it. Watch his videos. Go to my Female Illuminati site and read a couple of the articles there that deal specifically with this. Black Nobility, Order of Sion, etc. I make a précis, you see, of all of this. Because it's an incredible subject. The Parthian-Atnus connection. We'll do more on in the future as well. But this shows you just how cosmopolitan most of the Jews really were. Didn't mean that they gave up on their own ideas, but they were fully aware of what was happening. And this then explains something that's well known about Jews. Well, I can explain it better now. Is that during the time after the Jewish revolt, when they have to scatter and go not just to Alexandria, right, but to Persia, to Iraq, right? When they're scattered to all of these civilizations, when they're living in Baghdad in huge numbers and all, how come they get along with everybody? How come they get along with everybody in the Greek times? The Jews are known for this. Remember, the whole point is that they were guests in everybody else's country. That's because the point I've just made. They are not having a problem with cosmopolitanism. The anti-Semite is wrong. Super fucking wrong. They are able to assimilate far better than any Islamist. The Islamic people can't even assimilate today. You don't know about all the internecine wars that are going on in the Islamic countries or in the Congo or wherever they are. You can't even compare them to the Jews. That's how the Jews were able to get along with everyone. And if they suffered pogroms, it wasn't anything they were doing. This was Christian fanaticism. But the
Well,
very
to your
fact that
point, if they weren't able to get along, they would have been wiped out. So they would have had to get along, right? Like
right,
that, the evidence of them
of
still
course,
existing is right there.
both, you're absolutely right as well. But they had it in their bones, right? And it's only through smoke and mirrors that we don't really get this. Now, naturally, in every culture, you've got your fanatics. We've even talked about them. But even some of those fanatics, those zealots and those Nazarenes, are in and accepting the Parthian king, Jesus. This is what has all happened. Come out, if you scroll forward to where we are in modern times. As the leaders, they're willing to accept leaders who galvanize them and say, you're going to help us overthrow Rome, right? Oh, yeah, we're candidates for the Roman throne, mate. And you've become our foot soldiers. We're all good. And they did. And these are the fanatical Jews going, okay, you got a deal. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You see, this is the real story that's come out of our series and what we want to get through people's heads here. Thinking of them as just some little, isolated sectarian group doesn't work. That was originally what the international team wanted you to believe when the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. But then when the Gnostic Gospels were discovered, the secret Gospel of Mark, the Gospel of Thomas, that just didn't work. It kept showing that these guys were Gnostics and even Hermeticists. And then when you have your Philo of Judea and the whole host of them, they found out, oh, look, these Jews are even into Neoplatonism. And then came the Persian connection, because many, many Jews lived in Persia under either one of the Achaemenids or the Parthians or the Sassanids. Huge, 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 groups of them, right? As well. But Ralph Ellis has brought out that this is made more significant when you realize that Jesus himself was, Jesus of Gamala, or Jesus of Edessa more properly, is a Parthian king who ruled. His people owned Judea and Palestine. The Jews were their subjects. This is a family far more interesting than the Herods and all of that, right? All you know is the Herod family and whatever, They've been scrubbed from history. They're far more important, and they had queens, red-headed queens, that nobody seems to want to know about either. The Mary Magdalene connection, things we could go into, right? So when you point these things out, like I said, about 2 tribes versus 10, to the average Jew hater, they don't know what to talk. They don't know. Their whole picture crumbles. And so this, back to the point, Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Persian Empire, is smiling on the Jews and even brokers their release from their captivity in Babylon. The Jews look up to him, the Persians. You're not going to tell me that then Persian mythology, Persian religion, Persian astrotheology, the cult of Mithra, and even elements of Zoroastrianism didn't play a role. You can't say it, because the whole Roman Empire was influenced openly, the scholars know, by Mithras. Soldiers were, into Mithras because they were Mithraeans were a military force. And they had 7 degrees of initiation, the famous handshake and the caps. I showed all of this on my website, Irish Origins. Go to the Cult of Mithras. We can link up to the Cult of Mithras page. The very wearing of a cap, the handshake. It's unbelievable when you get into it, the influences. And of course, hardcore Christians scream bloody murder when you bring this up, because they just want to make it original, unique. No. We showed that early Christianity is rooted in Judaism, and Judaism is rooted in other things as well.